William Hill, the home of betting.
The most famous piece of wood in horse racing, the winning post here at Epsom, and ahead of the 235th Derby, British contenders for the big race were given the chance to sample the unique demands of the course at Breakfast with the Stars, and they were headed by Sandown Classic Trial winner Western Him.
Yeah, I was very happy with him. He came here, he was nicely settled, went out on the track and went up to the top of the hill, turned and then came back well, handled Tattenham Corner nicely over the crossing and into the straight, and I was happy with his head carriage today. It's a bit of a family trait, but he went well.
And the plan after winning at Sandown had been to go to the Dante. How much of a blow was it to miss his trial there?
Well, it wasn't. I just thought he'd had 2 races, and the last thing he wanted to do get involved in a really, really hard Dante. So to that extent, we just decided, hey, we've had 2 runs this year, let's go to Lingfield for a piece of work, come to Epsom and bring him in a fresh horse, which I think is better than having a truly hard race on the nose mark.
And in terms of ground conditions, what would suit best?
He's like most horses, he loves good ground. He doesn't need it. He found it quite testing at Sandown. I wouldn't want to see it soft for him. I'd just like to see good ground. Would be fantastic if you could have that. You get your best racing on that.
Derby Day itself is a unique experience for a horse. There's 100,000 people on the hill behind you. Any concerns about his temperament of handling the whole occasion?
No, he's all right. He's quite a playboy, but he's quite a cool dude, so I think he'd be fine. And you know, they don't cross like they used to through the old gypsy encampment. They go round and up the top of the hill and walk down. So I'd be happy with him.
And you also had Romsdale placed in a trial. Would he be supplemented for the race?
He works tomorrow, all being well, at Newmarket, and that'll be an owner's decision, not mine.
Renewing rivalry with Western Him will be the horse who followed him home at Sandown last time, Impulsive Moment, who also worked on Thursday.
It's very soft ground out there, but he seemed to cope with that and travel nicely down the hill. So happy and just nice to get him out and have a look round, really.
Second to Western Him at Sandown in the Classic Trial. Extra trip, better ground, do you think you can turn the form around?
Well, I would hope so, you know, particularly as I think we're you know, the horse should be fairly adept at handling this sort of track, and he doesn't need it soft, you know, he'd cope with good firm ground fine. So, you know, look, it's going to be a very open race, and maybe he lacks maybe a little bit of experience that some of the others have got, but he's in great form and he'll be staying on well at the end anyway.
And was the plan always to come straight to Epsom after Sandown? Yeah,
we debated maybe running at Lingfield, but the owners were keen just to come here, and because it's a long season after Epsom, so we didn't want to leave everything here on the first Saturday in June. So hopefully, whatever happens, we've got the whole of the rest of the season with him.
And David Probert gets the ride.
Yeah, look, David's as good as anyone around Epsom if you look at the stats. So that's not a problem. I mean, it's his first race in the Derby, but hopefully we'll just instill it on him. It's just another 1.5 mile race around Epsom.
And finally, we've just heard from a few of the other big race connections. Who do you rate as the main danger?
Well, obviously Australia, and all 4 of Aidan's horses have got to merit respect. And I was very impressed by Sir Michael Stout's Lingfield Derby trial winner. I thought he looked a nice horse. So it's a very open race, probably bar Australia. It looks wide open.
Having missed the Dante at York, Roger Varian was also at Epsom to give Racing Post Trophy winner Kingston Hill a first taste of racing round a bend.
Yeah, hopefully very beneficial, you know. It wasn't a strenuous workout, but he got a feel of a place and feel of the ups and downs of a track, and he quickened up well in the last furlong. Andrea was happy, so you know, hopefully a worthwhile exercise. We'd run him a Guineas, and we'd sort of set our stall out. Plan A was to run him a Guineas, and you know, failing to win the Guineas, we'd see it as a Derby prep, and we just felt we didn't need another Derby prep 12 days after running him a Guineas, so no, he's in good shape.
You finished 8th in the Guineas, the form of that race working out well. What did you make of his performance there?
Well, initially we were a bit disappointed with a run, but you know, on reflection, once we got a chance to watch the race again, you know, not much went right for us. He was slow from the gates, and you know, probably knowing he'd prefer a bit further than the mile. One thing he couldn't do was give those faster horses a head start, and you know, from halfway all he did was stay on, and you know, I think he was only beaten 4.5 lengths on the line.
And you say he would want more than a mile and a half. Might that stretch his stamina?
Well, you know, I don't think we really know until the day. The way he galloped out over a soft ground mile as a 2-year-old, you'd be hopeful he'll get the trip. I think if he gets a trip, you know, he'll run a huge race.
In terms of ground conditions, what would you prefer?
Well, we prefer soft ground. You know, he'd handled it so well last year. That would be a choice if we could have a choice, but of course we can't. We'd accept any ground, we just wouldn't want it too firm.
Also working at the course on Thursday was Red Galileo.
He's going to run. He was a slightly strange one. He was bored as a breeze up, did well as a 2-year-old, and was supplemented for the Derby through the winter. Ronnie Arcouli, who owns Red Caddo and various others with me, has very sportingly wanted to run the horse. We'll see. Look, he's going to be one of the outsiders. As various people are saying, it's an open Derby, but he needs to improve. But Ronnie's probably going to come over and have a run in the Derby, and Red Caddo will probably run in the Coronation Cup.
Yeah, then just a word on Red Caddo. How is he, and how's he come back from Dubai?
Well, he went to Japan afterwards, where the ground was like the road, and he just wouldn't let himself down on it. So that was a complete waste of time, sadly. He's come back well. We gave him a bit of a break. He's come back well. He's run well in this race before, and he should run well, hopefully.
And the plan to run in the Coronation Cup and then on his travels again?
Probably have a break and then think about the Melbourne Cup again.